say that John Will.I.am Coltrane is a saint. His commitment to the sound for us didn't deify him, but it raised him up to a stature of a saint. It canonized him for us. And music is the way that Coltrane came to this relationship with this thing that we call God.
John Will.I.am Coltrane was an influential African-American jazz musician in the 1960s. His most famous album, titled A Love Supreme, inspired the creation of the St. John Will.I.am Coltrane African Orthodox Church, which has transformed his tracks to hymns and elevated Coltrane from saxophonist to saint.
The meditation that began at 10:30 a.m.
We take the divine liturgy of the African Orthodox Church and we apply the lyrics to John Coltrane's music.
All praise to God. With love to all, I thank you.
On April 30th, 2016, the St. John Coltrane African Orthodox Church left its location in the West Bay Conference Center on the corner of Fillmore and Eddy Street.
It was in a nonprofit called the West Bay Conference Center. It also was a nonprofit that has to survive. And unfortunately, John Coltrane could not pay the rent.
Although staff from the West Bay Conference Center and the Coltrane Church have repeatedly contradicted each other surrounding the terms of the eviction, at the end of the day, the church was forced to move, and the residents were left lamenting the last jazz institution in an area once known as the Harlem of the West.
People angry about the Coltrane Church feeling that that concept and that ideal in that community are being pushed out by money. Not often do we still see folks that look like me.
The loss of the Coltrane Church is a manifestation of greater problems faced by the Fillmore district, which was historically the epicenter for jazz and African-American culture in San Francisco. The area has seen drastic decreases in African-American-owned businesses and residents. Many struggles that the current Fillmore African-American population face are a direct causation of city redevelopment efforts set in place from the 1940s to the 1970s. In other words, the politics of 60 years ago set the stage for the issues we see now.
Redevelopment agency and had a mass moving out of people.
People who started and owned businesses, a lot of them that bought houses, if they lived or had their business in an area that redevelopment came through, they lost it.
In 1947, the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency began a 62-year-long redevelopment project for raising and rebuilding a 36-block zone surrounding Fillmore Street, known as the Western Addition. When the agency pulled out of the neighborhood in 2009, they had shut down around 300 jazz shops, displaced an estimated 10,000 people from the district, and closed 883 primarily African-American owned businesses. From 1970 to 2000, the African-American population of the Fillmore dropped from 80% to 30%.
When the San Francisco Redevelopment Agency was redesigning a district, we called it Negro removal instead of urban renewal, because in essence, that's what happened.
So then what we're seeing is really a pushing out of all these different types of culture, dance, music, poetry, all of these things that bring so much sustenance to our society. It seems to be rejected, and there is this embracing of money and power over the very things that made this city what it is.
The soul of the Fillmore will be in hibernation, if you will. There is still some, but that Coltrane Church right there, that was the soul.
Although the corner of Fillmore and Eddy has lost an important cultural and historical icon, the message and community of the St. John Will.I.am Coltrane Church transcends the small room it once occupied in the West Bay Conference Center.
People were coming from all over the world to experience what was happening at the Coltrane community and to be a part of that. And I think that's definitely something that we brought to the community, being the Fillmore Street District, and it's something that we will take with us.
So we came here today to do a celebration of life and revolution.
All right.